Does optimizing Windows improve PC performance? That's what we're trying to figure out today. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but kind of pushed it to the side mainly because I had no idea whose PC optimizations I should follow. Well, that was until khorvie uploaded his updated video. Now, I was someone who for a long time chased frames like there was no tomorrow. I always just believed that it was actually making a difference. Well, that was until around 2 months ago when I thought to myself, am I really spending countless hours trying new tweaks or different Windows versions in hopes of some sort of improvement in performance? It all just felt like a waste of time, especially since I personally tested stock Windows versus tweaked Windows at that time. And that's when I come to the conclusion that it's just a waste of time for the most part. Now, don't get me wrong, things like optimizing your BIOS, enabling XMP and PBO or any sort of safe overclock can actually improve performance a fair amount, but I'd go as far to say that's all you really need to do, aside from keeping your drivers and other things updated. But today we're going to give it one last try. We're going to optimize Windows for the last time. Or will it be the last time? Let's find out in this video. For this video, we're going to be using a fresh install of Windows 11 24H2. We also kept the NVIDIA control panel settings at their default values, and the driver version we're using is 572.83. And as mentioned, for the optimizations, we will be following a YouTuber called khorvie, who recently released a full Windows optimization guide around 1 day ago. Now, I will just say this myself, but I have been following him for around a year now, and I do trust in his work, and not once has any of his optimizations caused any issues to my PC. So pretty much what we done was, using our stock Windows 11 24H2, we tested Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Fortnite. For the first 2 games we benchmarked, we ran the benchmark tool 3 times. That way we can get an average of the performance over all 3 different tests, as sometimes the results may vary. Unfortunately with Fortnite, the replay mode was very buggy for me and I was short on time, so we only done 1 benchmark for both before and after the tweaks for this game. So now was time for optimizing the PC. The list took about an hour as his video is quite long and in depth. He does cover pretty much every basic Windows optimization there is out there, but he also included some that I've not used before or aren't familiar with. I did skip a few of the network tweaks because I have no issues with my network and don't feel the need to change a lot of these settings. Another thing to note as well is he recommended NVIDIA driver 566.36 when using MV Clean Install, but because of the fact I have an RTX 5080, I decided to just stay on the latest driver as I know it's supported and updated to improve 50 series performance and stability. But here is a breakdown of all my PC specs. Also, please don't feel the need to tell me your CPU temp is high in this video. I am aware that the temps did go a little high in some of the benchmarks, however I am using a mini ITX PC with an air cooler, and the temps aren't high enough for performance to degrade, so I'm content with my configuration. Alright, so let's take a look at the task managers. So as you can see, the processors has cut down in nearly half, and also our memory usage has cut down by about 3 GB. Our GPU temperature is also cooler, but that's just simply because he got us to set a custom fan curve in Afterburner. But this is a comparison of the task manager before and after the optimizations. Alright, so now for the results. Well, I'd love to tell you that there was a massive difference in every game and I got 300 more FPS, but unfortunately that's not true. Now, we played Black Myth Wukong on the cinematic preset at 1080p with DLSS on, and we lost 1 FPS on average by optimizing the PC. Now, it's really hard to say why this is. Did it really make it worse? Because you will see in the video that there is actually some positives still in the other games, but overall it really didn't make too much of a difference. Like I said, Black Myth Wukong, that's actually the worst result out of all of them. but obviously the FPS numbers are quite low here anyway, so the margin in itself is only about 2% less performance. But either way, you shouldn't be spending let's say an hour optimizing your PC and getting worse performance. But moving on to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we played at the highest preset, and here we actually seen a slight increase in performance, at least in the first run, which is what you're seeing here. Unfortunately, this was the biggest difference we've seen. So the first run of the benchmark, both on before and after, there was about a 10% increase in FPS. Now I'm not exactly sure why this one was 10% and the others were so little, as you'll see. But what I will tell you is, for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, out of the 3 runs we done, the before optimization run 1 was 322 FPS, and the first run for the tweaked PC was 350, so that's around a 10% increase. But for the second run, both benchmarks got 340 FPS, and the third and final benchmark for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, before optimizations we got 344 FPS, and after we got 346. So the second and third benchmark are very much identical. I don't know what happened on the first one, but it really gave me a glimmer of hope that we'd actually done something worth our time. But then we moved on to Fortnite, and unfortunately this didn't show much difference either. It certainly wasn't worse. Now I'd love to say that the average FPS was loads higher, but it really wasn't. In the game we tested, it was around 10 FPS higher, so a very small amount. And once again, with the 1% lows, at times the 1% lows were better on the after, and at times it was better with the before. So unfortunately, 1% lows in Fortnite are very weird statistic to measure, and so many simple things can cause 1% lows to drop in Fortnite anyway. So let's talk about my verdict. Is optimizing Windows worth it? Now, I really don't think it is. I mean, looking at the results here, I didn't even see much more than a 10% increase in any games out of all the games we've done, and even then the other benchmarks for that game were very similar. It really didn't make much of a difference. Sure, there are other things to measure as well, things like input delay, which I can't really give you an accurate result on. I don't really know how to test something like that, so really we're just looking at the FPS numbers themselves here. But of course, I've only just done this, and I will probably be going back to stock Windows, I must be honest. There is a chance that the input delay will feel much better, but then again, who knows? Without actually testing without an accurate solution, it's hard to really say. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. As I always say to people, optimize Windows at your own risk. It may help you out, it may break your computer, or it may just be the exact same and you feel like you wasted your time. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I'll see you all soon.